Hello students! In this video presentation, I will be explaining how to finish up your documentary. Producing and editing a documentary journalism piece is like putting a puzzle together. You have so many pieces, which are your video clips, your still photos, your sound bites, music files, graphics, text slides, interviews, and more. You will use all these pieces to create a story. The purpose of documentary journalism is for you as a journalist to share with the audience what you have found in the months or even years of research, investigation, interviews, and your experience. Today I'm going to use my short documentary called Friends with the Enemy to show how it's done. So I don't like how it goes, it has a jump cut. This is a jump cut, how it goes boom. That really sharp transition, like we need to fix that. So what I'm gonna do is, I know that I'm gonna be cutting video clips here and there. So I purposely left a buffer here and a buffer here, of extra 1 to 2 seconds, so that I can go to my transitions right here, my cross dissolve, which is the most basic transition, to smooth out 2 clips, which are the same interview, and it's like basically a continuation of what he's saying, but I wanted to take out some of what he was saying. So I put this over here. So it goes.
Than I expected it to be. First of all, they put you in the chair and shave your head,
which is much smoother than what I just showed you before. You want to make sure that your audio is consistent throughout the documentary. And you don't really want the viewer to have to put up the volume, lower the volume, put it up the volume, lower the volume again. You just want to make it as easy for the viewer as possible. So try to make your audio levels as consistent as possible. And one way you could do that is by clicking right here, going to audio adjustments, and let's say this clip right here was not loud enough, not as loud as the first clip over here, and you want to make it consistent. So take this volume right here and take it from 100% to, let's say, 200%, or you would decide how loud or how low you want to make it match with the previous audio. Over here, George is saying,
after you've seen the casualties and you've seen the men in the hospitals and all the rest, you just have to wonder what's wrong with us.
Okay, so George, we've been watching him for the past 15 minutes in this documentary, and even though he's a very lovable character, the viewer, people are very visual these days. They want to see what you're talking about instead of just hearing someone talk. So basically, George is talking about after you've seen the casualties. So I'm going to try my hardest to find the best photo or video to basically put behind his audio. This one. I want to use this picture of a grave with a flower to say, this symbolizes casualties. So I'm basically going to take this picture and place it on top of the video. Let's say I do a picture-in-picture. So listen, George is going to talk.
After you've seen the casualties and you've seen the men in the hospitals and all the rest, you just have to wonder what's wrong with us.
So that way it's more entertaining. You get to see the picture of the grave, but you still hear him explaining what he's saying. And you're gonna want to go through your whole documentary, and any time you see that that's a possibility to show a visual when there's an audio, you're gonna want to go ahead and do that. Okay, now let's look at the structure of a documentary. Let's go to the end product, Friends with the Enemy. So we started with some nice music. And to capture the audience's attention, we have something sudden, something loud, something to be like, whoa, what's going on here?
After they found out that we were going to treat them decently and we found out they weren't going to try and kill us, we became friends.
What it really represents, and at least it represented to us, was really more of a bond, of a friendship.
And I realized that I was supposed to be guarding my unit from this detainee, and at that point I realized I was guarding the detainee from my unit.
So basically what that just was, it was showing, kind of giving the viewer a teaser of what to expect. People like to know what they're getting themselves into, you know. They want to know, you know, what the structure of the film is going to be. Is it going to be really, really long, and is it going to be just one person talking the whole time, or is it going to be like short things of many people talking? So what I did was I prepared the audience, then I show a short clip of George saying a generalization of what he's going to be talking about in the next 15 minutes, and then I went to the next character, which is Sid, who says a little generalization of what he's going to talk about, and then we got our third character, Mike Preisner, who's going to give a generalization about what he's going to talk about for the next 15 minutes. And then, obviously, we have the name of the documentary, Friends with the Enemy. That's basically giving an introduction for what the next 15 minutes of this documentary is going to be about. That's preparing the audience for what to expect. Anytime you introduce a new character for the first time, you're going to want to give a subtitle of who that person is. So, for example, the first time Sid Mendoza is introduced, we have a subtitle.
My name is Lieutenant Mendoza.
Right here.
And my position is Scholarship and Enrollment Officer.
It's always good to let the audience hear what they're saying. So he's introducing himself. Hi, my name is Sid Mendoza. But also for the people who are more visual, you want to have it written down. So you want to cover all your bases.
Yeah. And at that time,
if you decide to use material in your documentary that is not exclusively your own, such as a YouTube video, a Google photo, graphs, facts, and information, you must legally and ethically give proper credit and attribution to the owner. This is very simple. Let's say you use someone's YouTube video as a part of your documentary. Just make a small citation on the bottom right corner of the piece stating where you got the material from and the name of the owner. We attribute for different reasons. Firstly, using someone else's creative material is illegal if you do not attribute it properly. So we want to be safe. And secondly, and more importantly in my opinion, is we want to be fair to the people who put their hard work and labor into actually capturing these videos, interviews, photos, and facts. So the least we could do is actually give them credit. I mean, think about it. What if I had to go all the way to Iraq and Afghanistan to get that footage? I would have never been able to make this documentary. So the least we could do is at least give a proper attribution to the owner. Every character who has an introduction should also have a conclusion. We have George giving his short conclusion about war. Then we have Sid giving his conclusion about war. And then we have Mike. Where are you, Mike? There you are. Then we have Mike giving his conclusion about war. So it's kind of all coming together in the end, full circle for the audience. At this point, the audience should have an aha effect, which is very pleasing. The audience loves it when the story comes together in the end. That awesome feeling of everything making sense in the order that it was presented feels very satisfying. They like to find out that everything that was shown to them in the beginning of the documentary and in the middle has everything to do with the end. The ending of your documentary can be structured very differently depending on the existing structure of your piece. But in general, the ending should recap very briefly what you already said and have some conclusion regarding that information. Your documentary can end without a conclusion, leaving it up to the audience to make their own decision, but one thing is for sure. Make sure it does not end suddenly. That would leave the viewer frustrated and unsatisfied. Being a journalist is a tough job, but it's very rewarding. All the hard work you put into making this documentary in the last few months will pay off without a doubt in my mind. A documentary journalist has a super important role in society. We have the responsibility to gather information on important issues that we find, and we are counted on by the general public to be the informers of what is going on in the world. The best journalist is a truth seeker, an investigator. We are passionate. We love life. We have a hunger to find out the truth. That is what we live for. Knowing that our roles as journalists are so crucial to educate society, we should find the courage from within to bypass any struggle we encounter while finishing up our documentaries. What makes a journalist so special is that we are unstoppable. Remember, every successful person in this world struggled in the process of getting to the top. So when we encounter a breakdown while making this documentary, just know that that is part of the journey. Every breakdown leads to a breakthrough, and you're almost at the finish line. So I challenge every single one of you guys to finish this documentary and give it your all.